How badly do you want this? How badly are you prepared for what's coming? In bid of the incoming victory, there's plenty that we need to sacrifice now in order to have room for what's coming. You cannot be able to pour new wine into old wineskin, which means that what's new cannot be approached with the old. The good, the bad, and the ugly, but yet I still prevail. It is honestly okay for me not to be good on my first try. In fact, not being good on my first try leaves me room for growth and also a chance for me to expand. The important thing was for me to be orientated towards teamwork, seeing that this was my second work environment and it was something totally new. This was definitely a new way of dealing with others. The nervousness I had during my interview was immense. My soon-to-be supervisor could tell that I couldn't get a hold of my nerves, but I did my utmost best to communicate my abilities. Through all that, I was granted opportunity to begin work the same day. I give kudos to a new start and new opportunities that were headed my way. As difficult as it might have sounded, I needed to keep myself calm, but I couldn't bear hiding my excitement. Here I was in constant disbelief, but once I had calmed down, I knew I had to do my best and give my all to this learning venture. A part of me was so scared and confused about my role now. It took about a month for me to settle, but eventually it was all worth it. This entire month dedicated to learning about the working system, department hierarchies, and also my colleagues. The staff mostly consisted of women who were mothers and providers of their household. I felt so immensely excited entering a new realm with people whom were going to teach me a lot of valuable lessons about work and life itself. Many of them, saw mothers and father figures. As soon as a month had gone by, I started to get the ball rolling. This was a period in which I started being so confident in myself that I had dedicated my first entire month learning about my work environment. Trust me, it wasn't easy, but at the end of the day, it was worth it. Being in a work environment made me realize that I couldn't be the same person I was at home. A work attitude had to be instilled, and the basics that I learned from high school were now evident to be practiced. The one rule that I had made to myself was always to be earlier than expected, for I could prepare for the day. Half of the day for me is won when I get there on time. This gives me great opportunity to plan and foresee how I would like my day to go. Mix all that with the Isha Kriya meditation process and self-reflection that started being a pivotal part of my well-being, and I was setting up myself for everyday success. The story you tell yourself at any defining period of your life is one important one. I had to remember at this time period that we all came to work because we wanted to create a living for ourselves and also for our families. Our attitudes when it comes to work was a daily task and one that I couldn't afford to take lightly for any second. How you think and see the world is your responsibility. Once you take ownership of that, then you place the responsibility on you. To be honest, the last thing I wanted was to be told what and who I could be. It's much easier to listen to others about what we should be doing, and then forgetting that we are the person who decides that for ourselves. As much as I listen to others, I listen to myself more. I had to take into consideration I am the person who defines my own journey as I go through it. This is a period in which I started reinforcing my speaking skills. Seeing I was working in a customer service environment, talking to people and passing information was the task of the day. My duty was to phone former contributors of Provident Funds on contact information provided by the company which deducted their funds from their previous employer. Our company was tasked to call and inform these members of their previous contributions towards their Provident Fund. My company was mainly tasked to provide paperwork as well as informing these former members of their application process. Learning the system took time, but eventually I got the hang of it. Another thing which made things much more satisfying was the mere fact that I was not the only one going through this difficulty. Seeing that I found myself getting this new job opportunity, a neighbor of mine whom I grew up with, who provided me this opportunity, made me settle in quite well. What made it even quite gratifying was the fact that I was an open-minded person due to the meditations I practiced at the time, and this gave me great opportunity to learn about the environment I was in. Now it took a lot of initiative, and I had to place myself in a position which will enable my work environment to be a learning curve. So now, this new person that I had built myself into, I could put to the test. The amount of belief I had started growing immensely, and it also helped a lot with the adaptation to the work environment. Being humble reminded me of how my mother would always tell me that I must always do my best. She really had a funny way of inspiring me, like some sort of reverse psychology. My mom was such an amazing woman, great cook too. She was a mother of 6 kids, and yet the ambition and love for her kids was still burning inside her. The love she has was so immense. I was in total awe of what that was, and I do know everyone has flaws and mistakes, and that we wouldn't be human if we weren't flawed. Trust me, the best things in life are for free. I chose my mother during this difficult period in her life to be my source of inspiration. I just knew that her prayers for me to find employment were finally being answered, and I was in conflict somehow with how I was doing things. This definitely was partly due to us being emotionally unavailable for each other, as well as we always did things in opposition instead of being in partnership. I'm aware that this internal war I was facing started making me vulnerable. Here I was seeking valuable relationships which made my views differ from how I used to see them. I was quite amazed by the fact that the relationship I had at the time raised my awareness, because I was constantly living compulsively. I couldn't pay minimum to the fact that my mother was not a pivotal part in my growth, so I decided otherwise. Living compulsively often leads to you isolating a lot of people, and that is what happened to me. And as a result of isolation, plenty of my relationships, which were very valuable, suffered because of that. Dealing with this uncertainty and losing sight of what had gotten me here, you as a person need to take time to detach and realign to what has kept you going. being in contact with my older sibling, she really changed my view yet again about how family should be. As angry as she was, she reminded me of what I wanted for me and how best I could enable myself to always be in a position where I'm chasing what I want. Spending the festive season, especially Christmas, and being around family, now I could let my guard down. It previously was not one of the most satisfying feelings ever, but to be honest, the festive season used to be a very draining period because everyone would choose to go their own way. And this one entire year, straight after I had gotten my job, my sister had shown me something quite differently to that. She had this wonderful, beautiful family. She had this daughter. And I was so in admiration of that because this was something new to me. And I'm thankful for the fact that now my eyes were more open to a different version of what family is. Now I could strive for something different. So I really felt at this time period that people started to care about me. I knew I wasn't one of the most cooperative person to be around, but I always knew that my intention were in the good way, in a good space. And seeing that they were in a good space, I lend my gratitude to her. Because today I'm a man. Her actions will forever be treasured. And the mere fact that she still keeps me at heart is a reminder that wherever you find yourself, forgetting who you are and why you're here, just remember, life is what you make of it. Namaste. Many thanks for tuning in for this episode to learn and reflect with me. Your feedback will be highly appreciated, and reviews too on all the podcast platforms you are listening on. Until next time, namaste.